Welcome back. The book is Atomic Habits. The author is James Clear. We're talking about chapter 4, which is a topic on the Habit Scorecard. So basically, Habit Scorecard is a way of just identifying all your habits. You mark them, you write them down, and then you mark them as good or bad. And then, of course, do you think that this type of analysis can be used for a practical? That's the question. A little bit of background on the Habit Scorecard before we get into the conversation here. In the book, it provides an example on pointing and calling. So this was first a technique that was used by train conductors in Japan in order to identify any issues or any problems on the train track. By doing so, they were able to cut down the number of mistakes, number of errors. To fast forward it, a function of pointing and calling is also used in a lot of hospitals, where they'll just say, hey, we're operating on the right hip. And everybody in the operating room will say, yep, we're operating on the right hip. So you're calling it out, so you're not operating on the wrong hip, right? So do you think habit scorecards are effective? And do you think this type of analysis is practical?
Absolutely. I think that you need a real assessment of how you spend your time. And so the habit scorecard is writing down everything that you do from like the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. So it's sort of like a self-audit, because you could ask me, for instance, do you think that you organize your day well? And I'll say, yes, absolutely. I organize my day perfectly well. But when, if I were to, and I have done a habit scorecard, and I didn't realize how inefficient my use of time was. So I will be in future videos. You can follow me as I build a habit of time blocking, which is an organizational tool. So if I didn't do the self-audit and write down everything that I was doing at a microscopic level too, like in 15-minute increments, I would not have realized that there is a more efficient use of my time during the day. And not only a more efficient use, that I have a sense of time that doesn't align with time itself. So things tend to take longer than I think it does. So absolutely, this is like where things got really real for me, and was a way to almost like separate myself from myself. So I could look in and see there's a lot of discomfort in it too, but I think it's absolutely necessary in order to isolate what is it within the system that needs to be improved.
Yeah, I too have recently started to do this, to kind of break down my days. And of course, I have a couple of goals that I want to achieve and build them into habits, right? So I started doing this analysis on myself, and like you say, I need to really step back and look at what I've been doing and try to identify those key moments. What caused me not to be able to achieve the goals. And I think yes, being able to do this is really important. As in fact, this is the first step, into the other things that we'll be discussing, right? This is almost like the first thing is to identify what am I doing right now, the goods and the bads, or maybe even the ugly ones, and that's how we can start making things better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the habit scorecard bodes well to being self-critical, because it allows you to sort of just write everything down. You're just writing down all your habits. You're identifying, is it a good habit or is it a bad habit? Now you have a list of the good things that you want to leverage and the bad things that you want to diminish. And so that's sort of the first real step in the process of building good habits. One of the things that I like to do, and one of the things I've been doing, is on the iPhone, and I'm pretty sure on some of the other devices as well, you can see your screen time and how you're using your phone on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. How much time are you spending on social media? How much time are you spending on productivity tools, et cetera, et cetera? And so I'm looking at that, and I'm actually analyzing like the amount of time I'm spending using, things that are not positive, right? So how much time am I using on social media? How much time am I spending on Instagram? How much time am I spending on TikTok? And I'm looking at my performance there, because if I'm spending too much time on social media, then I'm spending less time being more productive in my life, right? And so I use that as an input to my habit scorecard. So I want to see those numbers, because part of a bad habit, I think a bad habit is social media use. Unless you're an influencer or something, or if you're somebody just on social media every day and you're spending 3-4 hours on the various platforms, is it prohibiting you from getting work done if you're not an influencer? And if you are not an influencer and you're spending 4 hours a day on TikTok, then you really got to self-examine that use of time, and maybe that will help you to identify some of your bad habits. So I definitely like to look at that productivity, that list of apps that I'm using on the phone, because that's telling me where am I spending time. And if I'm spending time in those places, I need to cut it out.
And I think also coming back to one of the things you started with, Edwin, was pointing and calling, and being able to point and call what you're doing in the moment. So saying, I'm scrolling social media right now, and actually hearing it. And then you're thinking, is this important right now?
Yeah.
Because I should be working on that project. Because it actually sort of makes it more real, right? Because you can kind of sneak. I'm searching social media. You might be working from home, so you're not accountable to anyone. But actually hearing out loud and pointing and calling it, and asking yourself, is this important? Is this the most important thing that you should be doing at this moment? The answer often is no. So, spoiler alert. But I think that taking a look at things and pointing and calling could be a really good way of becoming self-aware.
Hey guys, of course, we are the M3 Collective. Please don't forget to like,
comment,
and subscribe.
By doing so, you'll receive notification when we drop new videos.